Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. Is the Cox Media Group eavesdropping on your personal communications? Well, they put up something on their website the other day that suggests that they are, and they're selling this information to marketers. Now, a lot of the press has covered this already. A lot of the press has said this is probably not feasible, but I've run some tests here in the house to indicate that it's actually possible, and they might actually be doing it. Let's get to it. So let's first start off by taking a look at what this active listening product from the Cox Media Group is all about. Now, I should note at the outset here, the Cox Media Group is different than Cox Cable, although the owners of Cox Cable have a good-sized stake in the Cox Media Group. And the Cox Media Group, among other things, is a local digital ad agency that you can hire to place advertisements across many different platforms and target your audiences and all that sort of stuff. They also own TV stations and radio stations too. It's a pretty big operation, and they put this website up recently where they were promising that they could listen in on conversations happening near smart devices and allow marketers to target advertising based on what people were saying in their homes. Now, this website has been taken down, but it went up originally on November 28th. It was posted by one of their executives, Justin Winocor. I did try reaching out to him to see if the product was still available, but I did not hear back. They took this website down because of all the hubbub that it generated. But basically, they're talking about how great this new product is and how you can listen in on the conversations happening around smart devices. In fact, this paragraph here says they do just that. They incorporate and analyze customer data gleaned from conversations happening around smart devices, and they can pinpoint where and when your customers are most likely to engage with ads. And this was something that, of course, creeped out a lot of folks. And then they talk about how it works, how they track people, how they can analyze behaviors, how you can retarget. So what happens here is that they initially identify you, and then if you click over to one of these websites, they can keep hitting you with additional advertising and build out your profile further. And they are selling territories in very small radiuses here also. So clearly they were pushing this really, really hard initially until all the pushback happened. And then it's got some really crazy language here, like, is active listening legal? The answer is yes, it's legal for phones and devices to listen to you. When a new app download or update prompts consumers with a multi-page terms of use agreement, active listening is also included. And they talk about how it works. And they say it uses the cutting edge of voice data processing. And I'll show you some of that cutting edge processing in a minute. They identify buyers based on casual conversations in real time. It may sound like black magic, but it's not. It's AI. And they go through talking about how all this works and what the ROI is going to be on it. They also talk about some of their partners like Amazon and Google. Now, it's not clear how those partnerships with Amazon and Google work. I suspect what's happening here is that they're collecting all this data from some third party. They're getting all of the advertising targeted, and they're sending that targeting data to Google and Amazon and others for placement and ultimately the targeting of the ad to the user. Now, Cox Media Group did release a statement the other day, and they sent this directly to me as well. And they said CMG businesses do not listen to any conversations or have access to anything beyond a third-party, aggregated, anonymized, and fully encrypted data set that can be used for ad placement. We regret any confusion, and we are committed to ensuring our marketing is clear and transparent. This is not very clear and transparent because they did not deny anything here. They don't have to listen to the conversations to collect data from conversations, especially if that listening is being done by a third party, or maybe the listening is happening on device itself and not actually sending the audio data anywhere. And we'll have to dig a little deeper into that. Google says that for years, Android has prevented apps from collecting audio when they're not being actively used, and whenever an app activates the device's microphone, as there is a prominent icon displayed in the status bar. And that might be true, but I think for a lot of consumers who might just be playing a free game on their phone, they may not even notice that microphone thing is on, or maybe not care about it being on. Meanwhile, that could be one of the mechanisms where they are collecting this audio data to then transcribe and go further with. Now, the source of this Google quote is an Ars Technica article, and here they dive into this a bit deeper, and they think these real-time listening claims were exaggerated, but the creepy factor remains. I think there might be some validity to it based on a couple of things. First is just how advanced mobile phone processors are getting. And remember, mobile phone processors are not just in mobile phones, they're in smart televisions, they are in computers sometimes, tablets, all those types of devices have processors that are capable of processing in real time AI transcription. The Apple Neural Engine, for example, came out with the iPhone X way back in 2017. Google has been doing on-device transcription since the Pixel 4 with the Snapdragon 855 processor, even before they got their new Tensor chips going, which are even more advanced. And in fact, as I've been recording this video, I have been doing offline transcription and recording of what I've been recording here at the desk. And it's getting better and better every year. In fact, now it can actually differentiate speakers in the course of these types of things. And not only can these phones transcribe audio offline and have been doing it now for many years, the newer phones now are even more powerful, and now they're doing on-device summarization of what they heard. So for example, I was just running that transcription a minute ago, and then I could have it do a summary of what I said. And as you can see here, it put some bullets together based on what was in the transcript. But none of this was running on a power-hungry server. It was running on this phone. And the only reason why there is some duplication here is because it caught me recording multiple takes of this segment. But it really gives you an idea as to just how powerful these little mobile phone processors are and how a lot can be done now on device. So what you're transmitting back to your servers for analysis is very, very small. Now, the summarization feature is available on the new Pixel 8 phones. And in full disclosure, Google sent the phone to the channel for me to take a look at. We'll probably do more with this in the future if there is interest. Now, earlier today, when I was getting the kids ready for school and I was making breakfast and coffee and everything, I just recorded the conversation that was going on in my house. I did tell my wife I was doing it and my kids. And what I was able to do was take that audio and transcribe it with a piece of software called MacWhisper. This is free software. It is using OpenAI's open source models for on-device transcription. This is an awesome free app. You can even just give it a video file like I've got here, and it will just start on device grabbing the audio from a video and turning it into text. And I have it running on the faster engine that doesn't use all that much processing power. And although it's not perfect, it's good enough. And I can use this to then go to ChatGPT and summarize things for me. So let's take a look at what I sent up to ChatGPT. And this morning we were talking about my cough that won't go away and the fact that a lot of our friends are dealing with the same thing. And we talked about bronchitis, pneumonia, and a slow recovery from a cough, which is what I've been dealing with. But a friend of ours is also going through the same thing, and it's a real pain in the you-know-what. But this is a great opportunity to market healthcare products to be like cough syrup and doctor's visits and that sort of thing. I also talked about maybe needing to get our roof inspected because this will be the 20th year that our roof has been on the house. We probably need to get that looked at. I was telling my wife that I was about to go embark on my Christmas Eve shopping extravaganza. I just go shopping on Christmas Eve because I love the pressure of having to just kind of limit myself to what's open and available. And my wife hinted that she'd love some new books to read. So I picked up that conversation, and now I'm going to be a great target for bookstores and books themselves. We also talked about our friend's baby who's 1 year old and has a hard time sleeping through the night still. So it got that involved in there as well. And we would probably be a good target for these ads, even though we're not experiencing this directly, because we have a friend who is. We might see ads that could help us help them, right? So that might be something that an advertiser might like. We got the holiday shopping thing here as well. And then my daughter told me how badly she wants a new iPhone. I told her she's too young for a phone, and we continued that discussion, but that conversation happened. And then we talked about how we may want to take some travel time this year. And again, we got hit with that. And this was just a simple prompt through the regular ChatGPT. And guess what? The transcript that I sent up of about 30 minutes of discussion was less than 3K in size. I could load it up on one of those old Apple IIs back there and send it over a 1200 baud modem in a couple of seconds. So this notion that somehow there's not enough infrastructure to support all this stuff, I think is not the right argument. It is very easy, almost trivial now, to do on-device transcription and send very little bits of text up to some server that can then do some AI processing. And of course, we've seen how the ChatGPT API works. You could do something much more advanced than me just attaching a file to the consumer-facing version of ChatGPT here. So for that reason, I think that everything Cox Media was advertising is probably doable and actually happening to some degree. I don't think it's going to be pulling data from Amazon A-word devices or your phone when it's sitting idle, but I do think there's enough of these crappy games out there that people are downloading that could very well be transcribing discussions in the background while somebody has the game up. And most consumers probably don't even notice that the microphone light is active. Even on this Android phone here, let me go back and just start recording again. You can see that although it gives me that little icon up there, it goes away after a while and just becomes this little green dot. So I don't buy this notion that people are aware of the fact that their phone might be listening. So although I don't think this is as widespread as people fear, it is highly plausible to make this work, given how these processors are so powerful to be able to do this on device, how much better the software has become at doing it, and of course now the AI capabilities that can easily take a conversation and match it up to whatever system they're using to target people directly. And think about this. We've only been talking about smartphones for the most part today, but what about smart televisions? They've got the same processors inside as these phones do, which means they are capable of on-device transcription. And even if you were monitoring what that TV was doing on the internet, all you would see are likely tiny little packets going back for telemetry, but those packets could very well contain very extensive conversations that some AI then takes and processes. Because as we saw, a 30-minute conversation was less than 3K of text at my house here because everything was done on device. And in the case of a smart TV, if you can manage it so that it can do the transcription while not interrupting the functions of watching television, again, highly plausible, I think this is perhaps an actual real product that the Cox Media Group is selling. And if they're advertising it and they're buying it from some other third party, I have a feeling that this is a pretty active new thing happening out there, and it's made possible because of the advancements we've seen in artificial intelligence. So I hope somebody digs into these smart TVs and maybe figures out what they're doing behind the scenes, because I don't think they'd be advertising this if they didn't have something that was close to what was being described. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Budley, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Steve Green, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.